Hey, buddies, fellow Franco fans. It is I, your host, Jason Rudy from Desperate Visions Productions. And I'm in the middle of editing right now, of course, on Lady Hyde, and taking care of that. But in the meantime, and in between time, I am here today to talk to you and to welcome you to episode 88, film 88, Gibraltar Departure. And that is the French theatrical title of the film titled I Burn Everywhere. Let's see. Yeah, also, too, like mine, the version I watched, they had it translated as I Burn All Over. So I'm not sure. I mean, it's all over and everywhere is kind of the same, but I'm curious what is the exact verbiage or what. So, yeah, so I don't know. Parto, I wonder if that's everywhere or all over. Parto, out, over. Yeah, I'm thinking it's all over. But anyway, so yeah, Gibraltar Departure, French theatrical title of I Burn Everywhere. France, 1978. Let me remove my reading spectacles so I can see closer. Hold on. All right. So we have the alternative titles for this film. The Belgian-Dutch language title of I Burn Everywhere, Ik ben overal heat. Also, the French alternative video title is Gibraltar Departure. Then we also have the pre-release title, the original thought, the original shooting, which usually is an interesting titles that he does. Like for me, I always mention Night of the Shooting Stars instead of the Virgin Among the Living Dead. So for this one, it's Rape of the Nymphettes, which is really interesting. It's more like of a lyrical, scary fairy tale compared to I Burn Everywhere, which is more of a physical action title, to describe a feeling instead of a idea. So yeah. Okay, Dossiers Mineurs, shooting title, Dossier on Minors. And that's more like a Virgin Report or something, or like something like that, like a schoolgirl report films that were popular at the time in Germany, and the type of film where they present it as like a documentary, and then they get away with using the X-rated footage and such. So, all right, well, once again, since this is the third in a third of the Hotel trilogy, this is still with Robert de Nesle, and of course, so that means that we have his production company, Comptoir François de Film Production out of Paris, and they were also the theatrical distributor. And also, since this was also in Belgium, it had a second distributor, that's Les Films du Dragon. So yeah, out of Belgium. Before we go any further, give, of course, credit like I always do. The information that I'm pulling for all this is out of the Volume 2 by Stephen Thrower, Jess Franco. This one titled Flowers of Perversion, The Delirious Cinema of Jess Franco, Volume 2. So, all right. Let's see, timeline. Shooting date on this is early 1978. French visa issued. Got an X certificate, and that was February 7th of 1979. And Paris, it played on April 11th, 1979. All right, theatrical running time. France, 82 minutes. And the video running time converted. France, MVP, which is the print I watched. MVP, of course, is Monty Video Production. And see, I have that information that's not in the book. They just have MVP. And that's a CCAM VHS, and that's converted to 84 minutes, 28 seconds. Even though the DVD-R rip of that VHS version ran at, I think mine was, let's see, what did I write it down as? 78 minutes, so 4 minutes off. Maybe it's just black screen, who knows. All right, directors on this, of course, why we're here. Jess Franco. But since this is a X-rated film and the third for de Nesle, he is Clifford Brown, of course, named after the jazz musician, the French print, or Jacques Garcia in the Italian video cover. Yeah, I think on mine it says, I forgot who it says on mine, Jess Franco or something. Or no, it says Clifford Brown. Writer Jess Franco, producers Robert de Nesle. And they have a different producer on mine too. I'll talk about that on the review portion. Director of photography, camera operator, of course, Jess Franco. So yeah, he does the directing, writing, camera operator, and the director of photography. So he tells himself what to do when he's shooting, and that gives himself 2 credits there. Nice. Well, yeah, you plan your setups and then you execute. So he's doing 2 jobs. Music, Daniel J. White, which is a really cool soundtrack on this actually. Editor Claude Gross. Dubbing Studios Barcadet. Laboratory CTM Ginny Velez. Kodak Eastman Color. Produced by Comptoir Francois du Film Production out of Paris. Alright, cast. The mighty, beautiful goddess herself, Brigitte Lahaie, as Lorna. And what's cool is Lorna, that name struck a chord with me because I always know Lorna as being a Russ Meyer fan. I think Lorna, there's a movie called Lorna, of course, with Lorna. And then there was a Super Lorna in one of his other films. I think it was Super Vixens, I believe, something like that. And I think he used Lorna in another film. And then Hollywood used it too. But I was like, wait, I just did a podcast where he used the name Lorna. And I kept thinking, which film was it? Which film was it? And I was like, I think it was this one, this. And then I was like, yeah, it has to be. So, sure enough, Lorna is the lead character also in a little film called Succubus, a.k.a. Necronomicon. And it's cool that he had Janine Renaud played Lorna in that film. And then he has Brigitte Lahaie play Lorna in this film. And, yeah, they're both killers, but different hair colors. So yeah, we have Brigitte Lahaie as Lorna. Oh yeah, also too, before I go any further, this film is going to be available soon on Blu-ray. So I didn't pick it up. I'm going to pick it up soon, I think. But what it is they put out a book on Brigitte Lahaie, and it has since been made. But before that, there was like a crowdfunding deal that you could do, and different levels of purchase, and one of the levels was to get a Blu-ray copy of this film. So I'm hoping that, which I assume, which is always not a good thing to do, but I presume that they will, put it out by itself as a standalone Blu-ray or with another Blu-ray or something, and then I'll just buy those, because I wasn't interested in buying the book, because I think it was a little too much out of my price range. But anyway, it still looked like a really cool book. But all right, back to the cast. Of course, we have Brigitte Lahaie as Lorna. And then the rest of the cast fills out as people that have been in the last 2 films, which were Cocktail Special and They Do Everyone. What was it called? Cocktail Special, and then Elise Fontaine. They Do Everything, yeah. So yeah, the rest of the cast is pretty much a lot of the carryovers from them. And it's kind of cool if you watch these 3 in a row, Cocktail Special, They Do Everyone, and I Burn Everywhere, which is kind of interesting, those 2 titles back to back. It's cool to see which characters the different actors play in each of the 3 films. And sometimes they're opposites, and sometimes the pairings are really cool. So I'll go on to explain. So you have Didier Aubra as Lorna's boyfriend. He's in earlier film. You have Susan Hemingway returning as Ginny Goldstone, and she played the young wife in the last film, and in this one she's the main person that they kidnap and everything, the virgin basically, Goldstone. Okay, then you have Martine Fleet as Maria, the madam. She's the intermediary between Lorna and Flora. And in the last film, she was I forgot who she was. Okay, so she was Sarah. So she was the lady that put the ad out for the sex partner, the tall, dark-haired woman. And then, so she's here as kind of one of the heels in the film. And then you have Adia Vargas, of course, who's in like tons of his films, the Dietrich ones, like I mentioned, Slaves and the Barbed Wire Dolls, I believe, and then the Greta and all those. But here she is a victim, basically. She's not okay. And then the last two films, she was, of course, Martine, the main lead in Cocktail Special, and then in the last film, she was a maid, and in this one, she's Maria, a sex slave brought by boat with Ginny. She's one of the leads in this as well, but she's definitely one of the victims of the cartel. Speaking of cartel, you have Mel Rodrigo, plays Robert, Flora's brother. So we haven't got to Flora yet. See, where did I skip over Flora? Oh, no, okay, interesting. So yeah, so you have Robert, he's Flora's brother, and the male brothel runner. Okay, so he's the... in Cocktail Special, he's the guy that plays the guitar at the orgy, and then in the last film, he was the kind of the butler or the bellhop. And so in this one, he's Flora's brother, and Flora is played by Benny Sousa, Touxa, and she is Eugenie in the first film, like the virgin in that. So in here, she's the main bad person who exploits this young virgin, and in the first film, she was the virgin Eugenie, so it's funny how they flip the roles on her. So in this one, she's pretty much the lead heel, and her brother, of course, is the guy that plays the guitar in the first film, blah, blah, blah. And then you have Marius Clavier returning, another one that returns as Madame Flora's manservant, and he played Christian in Cocktail Special, Martine's brother. So, and then in here he's basically Eugenie's servant, and in the other film he was the one who raped Eugenie and everything and pulled everything over on her. It's funny. And then in the last film he was one of the men that was in the Three Men. And then you also have the guy in the mustache that was in Cocktail Special, and in here he's one of the guys that hangs out in the orgies and kind of has sex with Maurice Clavier and Susan Hemingway and Benny Sousa in a scene. But yeah, so it's interesting to see all these same people, the same crew in all three of these films and playing different roles. So I always like to see that. And then you have uncredited Esther Studer from past Franco films, who comes here untitled, and you see her on the slave boat. They kidnap the women and put them on these mattresses and that. She's one of the women writhing around when the poison gas gets pumped in, or the let's see, what would it be called? I'm kind of naive with this. It would be like almost like a psychosexual type of nerve agent that's being pumped in through the I don't think there's such a thing, almost like laughing gas, but with gets you all turned on and stuff. So alrighty, well, that's that on the credits and all that. Okay, so now we're going to go into the production notes. Initially announced to the French trade paper Le Film Français, Français as Rap des Nymphettes, Rape of the Nymphettes, in a poster advertised dated August 25th, 1978, Gibraltar Departure emerged as the best of the three Franco films shot for Robert de Nesle in the early months of 1978. Franco's legendary good relations with his female leading ladies temporarily deserted him. Brigitte Leahy wrote in her 1987 autobiography, Moi, Les Scandaleux, that Franco badgered her to stay and shoot a second, extra hardcore film with him. When she declined, he accused her of playing the star and sent her packing back to Paris on the next available flight. Note, in 1986, she gave an interview that puts a slightly different spin on the story. Actually, there was a dispute between Jess and I on a porno movie set. I wanted to return to Paris for personal reasons, and Jess did not appreciate my departure, which was certainly a little rushed. But it had nothing to do with our work. All right, so here is Stephen Thrower's review, before I give my review later after the bumper. With the opening credits spoken out loud over a disco dancing scene, and also, too, I was going to mention this in my review, but yeah, I think it's Jess Franco and maybe Lena doing the voices. But yeah, I was like listening back, because Lena did the last film, And just because she's not in this film doesn't mean she wasn't on set. So, yeah. Okay, so with the opening credits spoken out loud over a disco dancing scene, Gibraltar Departure seems at first to be gearing up for something jaunty and jokey along the lines of 1975's Midnight Party. However, this is not what transpires. From the first sexual tryst, a threesome involving statuesque Brigitte Leahy, shy Susan Hemingway, and sneering Didier Abois, a stifling downbeat mood descends upon the film. Said to have been shot in 6 days, Gibraltar Departure suffers from the hastiness of such a daunting schedule, but against the odds feels very much like a genuine sex drama and not simply a directionalist porno scuffle. If the horrors are a bit repetitive and the acting mostly functional, there's still enough here to make this obscurity worth seeking out. Unlike the vapid Elise Fontaut and the disappointing Cocktail Special, its nearest neighbors chronologically and generically, Gibraltar Departure has enough going for it to make one wish for a pristine Blu-ray release one day. And like I mentioned, that it is very soon upon us. All right. Fans of Nymphette Susan Hemingway and those who worship at the shrine of French porn superstar Brigitte Leahy, which is me, will find plenty to cherish in this dark and disturbing take on the grim underbelly of the 70s sex industry. Others, especially those unfamiliar with the director's work, will struggle to find much worth in what can seem basically a rather depressing French sex film. Despite its redeeming features, Gibraltar Departure requires commitment from the viewer, who should preferably have seen rather a lot of Jess Franco movies before trying this one. Oh yeah, I forgot too. One last credit I forgot to give, which is silly. Also too, in this we have the returning character of Al Pereira. But unfortunately he's like just more in the background and you just see him kind of like following people. He really has no dialogue and then he's just, I don't know, it's kind of silly, but and this guy is played by Jean Ferrer, which is also the name of Andre the Giant, but yeah, different spelling, I think, of the last name. Alrighty, back to the review. Gibraltar Departure is predicated on a great nightmarish porno concept. An aphrodisiac gas. That's the word I was thinking of, aphrodisiac. An aphrodisiac gas that turns unwilling victims into sex slaves. This gives Franco the chance to explore the negative aspects of desire, picking up on a thread from Shining Sex and Blue Rita, showing sensual pleasures overriding the individual's will and making them vulnerable to manipulation. The first great scene occurs when Jenny, drugged by Lorna and her boyfriend, is transported to shores unknown in the hold of a ship, barely able to understand where she is. There's a rattled junkie propped against her to one side, and a predatory older woman, Blue Rita's Martine Fleety, oh, I know that was her, reaching over to finger her pussy on the other. And the rattled junkie is Esther Studer. So, welcome to the slave trade, pretty girl. The most memorable image of the film is of desperate women imprisoned nude in a shabby mattress-strewn basement, writhing helplessly on the floor whilst aphrodisiac gas is pumped into the room through a pipe in the ceiling. Franco films this scene from overhead, capturing an hellish tableau from the nightmare of endless desire, in a style that brings to mind the cluttered, wriggling fleshscapes of Bosch, or the cover of Jimi Hendrix' Electric Ladyland Gone Haywire. "Oh, please, I'm burning everywhere," one woman moans, quoting the film's title. Yeah, that was Martine Fleety, I think was her name. No, it was Adia Vargas that says that. And wriggling frantically among the other victims in a tangle of arms, legs, and sweaty pussies. All right. Nothing wrong with that. Actually, it's a beautiful thing. For a director who spent the best part of the 70s making a slew of pornographic and semi-pornographic movies exploring every nook and cranny of voyeuristic passion, such a theme suggests self-doubt and awareness that, while little of what you fancy does you good is a stupid conservative motto, repeated exposure can bring its own problems: compulsive behavior, diminishing returns, creeping dissatisfaction. Very insightful. It's no accident that in the ship's hold, Franco places one actress whose appearance is so unkempt and spotty that you immediately think of heroin. This is a distressing, ugly vision of lust, a nightmare world of addiction where sex is just another high to be exploited and turned into cash by unscrupulous dealers. So, Gibraltar Departure is a morality tale, despite the sleazy imagery. In the film's major twist, we see Captain Marcos, the man who's top of the female trafficking tree, enjoying one of the fruits of his investment. A drugged girl is brought nude and compliant to his room to participate in a bisexual orgy. To his horror, it's his daughter, recently kidnapped by a pair of freelance procurers and sold unwillingly to his brothel. The twist is a tad too convenient. A lot rests on coincidence. But it just about works. Gibraltar Departure's cinematic reveal sees Franco shining an accusing light on the turpitude of his characters. The message of the film not so different from the sort of water cooler debates about drugs or prostitution that begin. How would you feel if it was your daughter? The fact that Franco tells this tale just after a cocktail special in which the same father meets daughter sex scenario is played, not for moral critique but a moral enjoyment, suggests that these two films are located at critical fault line in Franco's psyche. It's the boundary between cruelty and pity, a place he seems drawn to again and again, turning the problem this way and that. And as a side, yeah, that's actually a really good point, because that's what I was thinking when I was watching this. And that's these two films are really interesting back to back. Among the film's flaws, there's a distinct lack of characterization for the hero of the hour, Al Pereira. That's just what I just said. Who mooches around silently for most of the film, hardly speaking a word until the last reel when he captures Ginny's father and hands him over to the police. There are some glaring continuity errors, too, or maybe missing footage. For instance, one minute we see Leahy and Abra captured and thrown into the aphrodisiac dungeon. The next we see them at liberty again, breaking into the chateau where Robert and Flory are partying with Captain Marcos. Well, actually, in that defense, Bridget Leahy looks kind of like messed up a little bit and looks like they kind of escaped. But yeah, they could have shown the scene of them escaping more, because you just see them kind of outside already trying to find a way out. They go up a ladder and everything. So, but yeah. Susan Hemingway, who excelled as the virtuous young victim in Love Letters of a Portuguese Nun, is again perfectly cast as the abused innocent. Very true. Her character Jenny is leered at constantly in scenes such as the one in which she demurely pulls a toilet door closed, only for the vivacious Didier Abois to pull it back open to watch her pee, before ordering her, with a curt gesture, to use the bidet and wash her pussy. As a character, she's purely a victim, blinking in confusion throughout, and it seems that Ginny is none too bright either. Despite discovering that her slave-trading father is responsible for her torment, she remains plastered to his lapel, even when the film's nominal hero, Al Pereira, reveals the awful truth. I was expecting a final tumble into horror for the girl as it dawns on her that the depravity she suffered was caused by her money-grubbing father, but instead she hunkers down beside him without reacting to Pereira's revelations. It's a limp scene that sabotages what could have been a powerful climax, but even so, Gibraltar Departure remains the nasty, sleazy saving grace of the late period Robert de Nesle productions. Amen. That's good. Good point. Good way to wrap it up. All right, Franco on screen. No appearance by Franco, unless he's a brothel customer hidden by the appalling video transfer. Yeah, the transfer, I don't know about appalling video. I mean, it is not the greatest, but it's definitely, I've watched worse and more faded, so. And especially Franco films and prints. Music. Gibraltar Departure enjoys what was by now a rare honor, an all-new Daniel White score unused in previous Franco films. White's accomplished jazz compositions, alternately that's a good word, lugubrious and manic, play genuine variations on a theme. another rarity for the cheaper Franco films in which music is generally a patchwork of available cues. The full ensemble pieces veer toward free jazz at times, while the central melody, a chromatic affair with some sly angles and surprises, is explored in various shades of gloom on baritone sax and cello. Soundtrack album, please. Yeah, it's cool. Like, he'll have like a theme, and then he'll play the theme on piano, like say, and he'll play a slow version. And then another one, he'll play a little fast version. Then he'll take that same theme and just play it on like a saxophone or a trumpet and have it as one of the themes in a scene. Then he'll like combine them with drums, and then that's another theme. Then he'll do like that same theme with a full band, and then it would turn to a freeform thing, but still go back to it. And so yeah, very, very cool. I was watching that, catching that as I was taking my review and noticing all the ways he was taking the central theme and just reworking it with different instruments. Very, very cool. I like that. Very classy. Okay, locations. The central location, once again, for the third and final time, I'm adding, is the Farol Hotel, Farol, in Cascais, Portugal. The quayside location, where Ginny's sex trafficker father gets into his car, is at 108 Ave. Dom Carlos I in Cascais, immediately besides the Palacio de Quicadela de Cascais. It was previously seen in Voodoo Passion and reappears in Aberraciones Sexuales de una Mujer Casada, 1980. So about a year from here, or 2 years from here. All right, connections. Another outing for Al Pereira, this time played by stocky unknown Jean Ferrer. A far cry from previous Pereiras like the suave Howard Vernon or the puckish Jess Franco. Ferrer looks like an off-duty dock worker or a grumpy union leader or strangely cultural theorist Jean Baudrillard. Yeah, he does look like a grumpy union leader because he has like this big stogie in his mouth and like a little cabbie cap with a fucking clip front and everything. Is funny. The theme of women kept in an artificially induced state of sexual stimulation takes on much darker hues here than in the earlier Blue Rita, a similar story in which men instead of women were the victims. Blue Rita had a lightness of touch, a psychedelic good humor. Here, the spectacle of women whooping and grunting and slobbering in helpless arousal takes on a sickening and distressing qualities. That's true. A major surprise comes in the form of an unexpectedly polymorphous four-way between Flora, Robert, Mel Rodrigo, Ginny, Hemingway, and a sex club customer this guy with the mustache, who concludes with Robert screwing the male customer while Flora gets it on with Ginny. The bisexual aspect is maintained in a later scene showing Uber trafficker Captain Marcos being ridden around nude on all fours by a whip-wielding Robert, while Flora slobbers at his face. The guiding influence in this would appear to be Mel Rodrigo, who also appears in, who's actually the guy that plays guitar and all that stuff, who appears in Opala de Fuego, made later the same year, which is also later two female spies in flowered panties, I think. And Franco's 1979 Sod adaptation, Sinfonia Erotica. Gay or bisexual action was still unusual, but not entirely unknown at the time in ostensibly straight French porn. The prevailing urge to épater les bourgeoisie led to all manners of variation until the 1980s video boom removed the element of surprise, putting the viewer in total control of what parts they watched and what they fast-forwarded. Among the swinging anything goes porno of the period are, and he gives a couple titles here, Fury Sexuales, which I own that, 1976. That's by Alan Payette. It's one of the Franco collaborators. Serge Corbier's Danse des Jaloux de Jolie, and Jean Louret's Dilatation. Depictions of gay or bisexual men turn up more frequently in Franco's work from here on, but it's not without reservations that I draw attention to the fact we go from the polysexual antics of Gibraltar Departure to a pair of weird old gay pervs exploiting a down-on-his-luck heterosexual teenager in Las Chicas de Copacabana, from the camp affections, literally, of Mel Rodrigo's character in Opuela de Fuego to the marriage-wrecking, woman-hating, limp-wristed fop he plays in Sinfonia Erotica. Once we're into the 1980s, a stream of camp stereotypes are trotted out frequently by Franco himself, who seemed to find playing a comedy poof most amusing. And that's from Stephen Thrower. All right, French theatrical release. Gibraltar Departure opened at 4 cinemas in Paris on the 11th of April, 1979. The Amsterdam Saint Laurent, the Axis, the Scala, and the Delambre Montparnasse. Staying open on 2 screens the following week, and then surviving for another fortnight, playing on 1 screen only before closing its 4-week run. In subsequent reappearances in Paris were few, compared to Ellis Fontaut, but nevertheless did turn up here and there. For instance, at the Pix on July 4th, 1979, and the Mairie on the 23rd of January, 1980. All right, other versions, sometimes reported under the working titles Rap de Nymphets and Dossiers Mineurs. There is reputed to be a harder version of the film, which is not surprising, as scenes after scenes seem to head toward hardcore before swerving away. That's interesting. The rumor may, however, have its roots in the film Claire, 1983, created by Joe D'Amato, using footage from Gibraltar Departure, Cocktail Special, and Ellis Fontaut. Claire adds hardcore anal penetration close-ups to the sodomy scene in Gibraltar Departure between Didier Abois and Susan Hemingway. Okay, so that's probably not them. It's just insert or close-ups. But I wonder if it's insert shots or what. Who knows? So, yeah, that's what that is. All right, so putting glasses back on. So I can read my notes. All right, so yeah, that's the review or the information portion of the film. So, okay, so for this film, I was going to do a review with a friend, but he unfortunately had to cancel due to personal reasons, and didn't have the time to find an available copy to give to Collie to step in. So I'm going to go ahead and knock this one out myself, and then get back with people and do the next slew of films, because those are a little easier to get for people too. So that's always really important, because these 3 films were a little more obscure. I understand that, and this period, they're not the strongest Franco films. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed the 3 for different reasons. I think I like, of course, Cocktail Special, and this one, of course, the most. And then the middle one, They Do Everyone, was whatever, it's just a silly sex comedy. So, but yeah, so if you enjoy Franco, or you enjoy this podcast and all that, please consider donating either one time or multiple times. It's always much appreciated. Let's see what else we want to say. You can find us, of course, on Facebook and Instagram under the Franco Observer Podcast. And you can download and subscribe, of course. Download, subscribe on your favorite listening platform. Tell a friend. Share the news of the Franco Podcast. Let people know all about it. It's always good to get new ears and new eyes on Franco. So please feel free to spread the news if you enjoy what this show does. If you want to get a hold of us, write to us, anything like that, please feel free. Our email address is francoobserver@yahoo.com. And let's see, I already told you about Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. We got a lot of cool stuff. I post there at least once or twice a week, or a couple times a week. So, all right, hang out. And after the bumper music, you will hear my notes, the Franco list, and all the goodies on I Burn Everywhere. Buenas noches. 1, 2, Hey, buddies, fellow Franco fans, Franco family. Just got done watching I Burn Everywhere, film 88 from Mr. Jess Franco, or Clifford Brown in this case. This is a pretty cool film. It's not as strong. I think it could have been more character development, definitely with the Al Pereira character, and go over all that. This is going to be a solo one, so of course the solo ones, I don't have anyone to talk to, so it's usually a little bit shorter. So instead of the usual, 35 to 60 minutes, it's probably going to be under half an hour or so. Alrighty, well, I'm going to do the part like I normally do. I'm going to read the synopsis, and then instead of asking my fellow reviewer what they thought of it, I will ask myself what I thought of it, and then just agree with myself or debate myself and see what you think. So, alright, here we go. Synopsis. Pretty and naive teenager Ginny Goldstone enjoys a night of sexual abandon and... Okay, start over. Pretty and naive teenager Ginny Goldstone enjoys a night of sexual abandon with a predatory couple who then drug her and sell her to a sex ring. Next day, the female of the duo, Lorna, played by Brigitte Leahy, sees a newspaper report about the missing girl, revealing that she is the daughter of a rich businessman. Annoyed at having let this cash opportunity slip through their fingers without realizing her value, the couple try to blackmail the father, demanding a ransom for her safe return, while intending to welch on the deal. Ginny is drugged with an aphrodisiac gas and enrolled as a sex worker in a sleazy nightclub run by procuress Madame Flora and her bisexual assistant Robert. Meanwhile, private investigator Al Pereira is tracking Lorna in search of the truth behind Ginny's disappearance. Lorna and her boyfriend overplay their hand. After attempting to make contact with Flora and the mysterious head of the slave ring, a man known only as Captain Marcos, they are overpowered and flung into the aphrodisiac gas chamber. Eventually they escape and, with Al Pereira, manage to track the elusive Captain Marcos to a beautiful seafront villa where he enjoys sadomasochistic sex with Madame Flora and Robert. When the new girl he's demanded for the orgy arrives from Madame Flora's, the captain is astonished to discover that it's his own daughter, Ginny. Dazed from the effects of the gas, she murmurs, "Papa?" Horrified at last by the wickedness of his trade, Mr. Goldstone resolves to quit. He leaves with his daughter, only for Al Pereira, posing as his chauffeur, to escort him to the police. So, Mr. Jason Rudy, the man who has watched quite a few Franco films, that'd be about 90 or so. Okay, 90 films. What did you think of this film, I Burn Everywhere, or, I Burn Everywhere? Well, let's see. I liked it. It's the third film from the trio that they did in the hotel. I recognize some of the rooms, reusing some of the rooms. I noticed they reused the bar. I'll talk about that when I go through this film. I kind of broke it down section by section, and I kind of go over that with everybody. So let me just start from the top and work my way down and tell you what I thought of each part. So we start with the version that's out there. Actually, as we record this, there's I think it's Pulse Video or something. It's they're putting out a Brigitte Leahy book, and I tried to go online to order the Blu-ray, but since I'm in America, I can't order it, I guess. It doesn't ship here some odd reason. But yeah, it's got, there's like a disc, they're putting out like a Blu-ray, like 2-disc thing. It's got like 5 of her films on there. Dark Mission, I Burn Everywhere, are the 2 Franco films. And then like, I think like 2 other films and like a documentary on there or something like that. So yeah, it looks cool. It's like about, US dollar wise, it's about $30, 20 something bucks. But yeah, for some reason I couldn't order it. So I'll try again, or maybe it'll be here in America easy. We'll see. So anyway, for sake of argument, this video DVD-R is from Monty Video Production, MVP, and we have once again spoken opening credits like the last film, They Do Everything. That had opening credits spoken by voices, and the same with this one. It's a male and a female voice, and I think it's Jess and Lena is what the voice sounds like to me. Kind of listen to it close, and definitely sounds like Jess, and then I think it's Lena's voice. Maybe Brigitte Leahy, but I would think it's maybe Lena, because it might just have been done in post. All right, we have starts off with, we see, and actually I'm going to kind of go through the list as I do this, since it's just me. We start off the film with a club scene dancing. So yeah, we see a dance club. So that's automatically one off the Franco list, and that is number 8 if you're counting at home. Number 8 on the list is club scenes dancing. So yeah, we have dancing in a club. We have the main character Ginny, played by Susan Hemingway, and she's in their disco dance, and she's being watched by this predatory couple, which I read earlier, and that's Lorna and I believe Tom, and they watch the plan and kind of see what's going on, and then basically Tom goes up and starts dancing with her, and Brigitte picks up this other guy, and they start dancing, and so they're kind of working their way in, and I think it's the same disco from an earlier film, I think like Virgin Report or a film during the Dietrich cycle, because I recognize the disco that they're dancing in, and I've seen it in at least 1 or 2 other Franco films, so that was kind of cool. And also there's a disco song, and then it goes to like this slow kind of piano disco song. It's kind of cool. There's like a couple different songs in this scene. And then we have also number 12 on the list, mirror shots. We have these cool ceiling mirrors in the discotheque. So we have number 8, number 12 already off the list. So those are 2 down. Then the man, the boyfriend guy, Tom, he leaves with Ginny, and they go to the hotel because he's going to have sex with her. So, and of course, it's the same hotel from the last 3 films. And Brigitte goes with the other guy, and he says, "Oh, I can't do it in my house because I live with my mom." And she goes, "Oh, that's okay. I know a hotel nearby." So he gives her his car keys, and she gets in his car. And while he's getting ready to get into his car, she takes off and steals his car. And he's like, "Hey!" And so she automatically steals a car right off the bat, so you can tell she's a thief. And so the man, Tom, and Ginny, or I'll call her Susan because I've written down as Susan, Susan Hayward. So they basically, he takes her to the hotel room, and she's a virgin, and she has to go pee first. So she goes pee, and he watches her. And right there, they have a scene where he opens the door and watches her pee. And then we have number 25 on the link, Kinks, because she mentions that he likes to watch, let's see where we at here, 25, I didn't write it down there, okay, but yeah, oh no, there it is, watching her pee, so she says, yeah, he goes, I like to watch girls pee, and she says, yeah, I do too, when I was a kid, I used to like to watch boys pee, and that was like my thing. And he watches her pee, and then he makes her wash her vagina off in the bidet, and he watches her the whole time, so he's like getting off on that. So then you have the man in his hotel room with her, and he kind of takes her to the bed forcefully, and she tells him, well, I'm a virgin, I can't have sex that way. She said, but, you know, you can always do the other side. And so she basically tells him, yeah, you can basically fuck me up the ass because I'm a virgin, and I guess so she's Catholic. And so she believes that, you know, she'll just give up her booty, and she'll still be virgin, and everything's okay in the eyes of the Lord. So he starts plugging away in her butt, and he has anal sex with her. And so, yeah, the first nudity in the film is about 8 minutes in, and of course it's her lower half, and then he opens her shirt up, and you see her boobs, but yeah, you see her vagina and her butt first before you see her boobs. And Susan Hemingway, she's very attractive, but of course no match for Brigitte Leahy, who's so statuesque and just perfectly like a god would make a woman, as a statue would be her. So basically Brigitte shows up in the room and joins in as the guy's on top of her screwing her. Brigitte comes in, takes her clothes off, and climbs on top of the guy and kind of like pushes down on him to get more force so he can get deeper into her. And then she climbs on top, straddles him, starts riding him as he's screwing Susan Hayward's character. And then they go to climax for him, and then you see the next thing. She's sleeping, and the couple talk, and he tells her she's a virgin. And then we find out that they are kidnappers, and that they call this lady Maria, and who played Sarah in the last film. Was kind of cool. So yeah, talk about that in the beginning. This has a lot of the same cast, and we get people playing different roles in this one. So yeah, basically Lorna calls Maria, who's the in-between for this prostitution deal, and she tells her she's a virgin, and she tells her she can give her $10,000, boom, 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 and then they chloroform the girl and knock her out and take her and drop her off to the Maria and her people. So they put her aboard this kind of slave ship, and you see a body of water, of course, on the list, number 1, body of water, and you see number 3, boats, and sailboats kind of in the background. So you have 1, 2, and 3 right off the bat, and that's off the list there. You have a nice lighting effect in the scene where they're kind of moving the light back and forth over their face. Very depressing, downwardly scene. It's supposed to be on top, inside the boat, but you could tell they filmed it like in the basement of the hotel, or just a small dark room to simulate the inside of the boat, which is pretty cool because they do it's a passable effect, and they knock all this off in like 6 days filming, so looks good. So yeah, they have like this the piano song plays on the slave ship. You see we see Adia Vargas plays Maria, and Esther Studer. So you have 2 Franco regulars here as 2 of the kidnapped victims forced into prostitution. Then you have a saxophone version of the earlier piano song, which is cool. So there's a really good soundtrack. Daniel White takes all the tunes and does different variations of them on different instruments. So it's very cool. Then we have sound effects, number 5, jungle sound effects. But we have a lot of seagulls. I think a lot of it's real seagulls, but then they also recorded them and just dubbed over them because there's like tons of seagulls that drench out the sound on this scene. Then we have number 9, jazz music on the list. We have the really cool jazz scene that goes through here. Music, kind of like a Miles Davis or a John Coltrane type, just jazz explosion, kind of a free-form deal. It's really good. Then we see the 4 women on the beds that are there before the new girls are brought in, or before Hemingway and Adia Vargas and Studer are brought in, and we see gas pumped into the basement as the new girls are brought in to join the other 4 there. So now we got about 7 or 8 girls, women that are now in this kind of sex slave dungeon basement place. And then we have, let's see, number 14, magic. Oh yeah, so we have this aphrodisiac gas that's pumped into the room, and it makes all these girls really turned on and erotic and indulging in each other. So we see number 14 on the list, the magic tongue scene, and we see Adia Vargas and them just licking the nipples and the tongue extending and into the vagina and all over the place. Tons of oral. So yeah, a lot of oral in this film. A lot of naked women writhing and sweating and licking and all that stuff. So see a lot of that. And since you see that, you see number 6 on the list, chained up person, but it's a tied up person. You have one of the gals that's tied up to the bed, while the other ones are jamming around and writhing and diving on the new victim that comes into the place. So then we have, with a different variation of the title song, of course, and we have more of that, and we have number 7. Okay, so then we cut to the bar from the last film. Now we go to, basically it's a bar in a little hotel somewhere. It's supposed to be a different location. And we see basically a stage show. So number 7, dance scenes on stage stripping, but it's like a sex show with a man and a woman. And there's an orgy going on at the bar with some of the women from the slave trade, and but it's the same bar from the last film, the same hotel from They Do Everything. And we see that bar again, and some of the same people in there, and we see the mustached guy from the last film, and Mel Rodrigo and Adia Vargas. A few of the girls are naked in there, and they basically have like an orgy going on. It's like a sex club, and that's the prostitution place, of course. So we have that going on, number 7 and 15. Oh yeah, and then there's a red light on the dance scene on stage as well. So we have number 7, dance scenes on stage stripping, and number 15, red light, is taken care of in that sequence. Then we have the characters introduced from all 3 films. It's actually Marius Clavier as Madame Flora's manservant, and Madame Flora, which is Benny Sousa, which is funny because they're Eugenie and Christian in the first film, the victim and the antagonist and protagonist. And so it's funny. So in here they're like a couple, and she's the bad evil heel, and he's her effeminate kind of manservant. So. Yeah, we see them in here, and Flora and somebody enter with Ginny and Robert enter the room. Robert, okay, so Robert is him. Yeah, so Flora's with the mustache guy, and Ginny and Robert enter the room, and he has sex with Susan and takes her virginity, pays the money for it, and then Lorna and her boyfriend Tom finally arrive by boat to investigate the missing girl because they want to get the ransom on the woman, of course calling the colonel and demanding the ransom. So now they go after her because they know where they're being delivered, so they go to try to steal the girl away. But they're followed unknowingly by Detective Al Pereira, who is kind of just lingering in the background of all these shots. He just kind of follows everybody through, and he's just kind of there trailing. So I guess he's an inept cop, but he's not an inept cop because, I mean, he gets the job done in the end, but yeah, I don't know. So I guess he would be part of the inept cop number 23, possibly, because everybody else is silly in this. So, okay, yeah, we have Lorna and him arrive by boat, followed by Pereira, and we see a scene again of all the women on the beds, gas pumped in again. Then we have number 12 on the scene, mirror shots. There's these cool mirrors in the basement. Ana Dia Vargas gets up and starts rubbing herself on the mirror and kisses herself and basically has sex with herself, dry humps the mirror and rubs herself and kisses and just goes for a full scene with the mirror, which is kind of a cool sequence. Yeah, so then we have that. Also number 14, magic tongue scenes and the mirror scene together. So you have number 12 and 14 on the list in that scene. Then you have, after that, Flora and Christian wake up together. AM time after having sex, of course, with Susan losing her virginity. They had her a few times, they say, and with that guy and a whole big thing. So they wake up and they start their business of what they're going to do. And then in the meantime, the servant, Mel and Adia, so basically Adia Vargas starts going crazy from all the gas being pumped in. It's too much for her. So Flora is informed by Mel Rodrigo's character that, hey, man, this woman's going wild, and we need to do something about her. And she says, well, I'll let you take her and tame her and break her and have sex with her and try to fuck her until she just calms down. So he basically has sex with her, brings her in and kind of whips her and stuff. And she has the and the scene's interesting because she's wearing these long black leather boots, and I recognize those boots. So I remember that they always talk about Lena and Jess had a trunk that he carried around from film to film of different props, and those black boots were in there, and those boots were worn by Soldad and like Eugenie Desaad, I think, and female Vampiros Lesbos, and quite a few other films. Those long black boots. So I think they're the ones that Adia Vargas is wearing in this scene. So that caught my eye. So that's kind of a cool little thing. Hopefully that's true. And then we see, after that sequence, we see the same bar orgy, but a different stage show with Christian, Christian, Marius Clavier, actually, Madame Flora's manservant. He's all in like this glitter and doing a interesting kind of a posing of like a statue, and this woman's underneath him and doing all this different stuff to him, and he's just motionless and stretching like a giant peacock or something. It's a very odd scene. So yeah, they have that routine going on the stage. And then 22 is so then we see Brigitte Leahy and her boyfriend walk down a spiral staircase. So we get our spiral staircase shot number 22. And, of course, it's the same one from the hotel that we saw in the last film. So it's the same spiral staircase, but different people in this one. And then we have Lorna, the guy that arrived at the bar orgy. Of course, they walk down the staircase, and they go to meet Flora. And unfortunately, they ask about her and the situation, and the guys go, yeah, we'll take you back here to meet her. And Brigitte and her boyfriend are beat up by Mel and Christian and another guy. They beat the shit out of them, and then the Flora dumps the knocked out man, Brigitte Leahy's boyfriend, into the gassed room with all the kidnapped women, and she says, this is your treat, women. You can do with him as you want. You can fuck him. He's yours. Do with him what you want. And all the women dive onto him and attack him and just keep having sex with him until he they basically try to fuck him to death. And, which is kind of a soft touch, which is cool. Use up all of his juices and just keep going and go until he dies. And then Lorna's KO'd, and they decide to, Flora decides to rape her with a strap-on dildo, and with Mel and Christian are there, they tie her up. So, of course, number 6, tied up scene. And, yeah, they tie her up, and Lorna basically penetrates her with a giant strap-on dildo. Okay, and then we have, of course, 1, 2, and 3 again, body of water, sailboats, and boats, as Alpereria waits for Ginny's dad to arrive. So the guy that's in charge of the operation, he shows up, and Alpereria, of course, sneaks and trails him, follows him to the place, and as he goes in, he kind of sneaks up around some rocks down by the seaside and sneaks his way in, because, of course, he's Alpereria, master detective. And the colonel in there is talking to Flora, and it was interesting because I live in California, and he talks about how he's going to sell the business and all the problems going by, and his daughter being kidnapped, and how he's so heartbroken, and how he wants to see his daughter again, and they've really done wrong with this last operation, and this and that, and how he wants to go to California, and he's going to sell the business and go to California, and we have nothing out here in California. So he keeps mentioning that. I thought it was kind of cool, because this is like over in, I guess, Spain or whatever it was. So it's kind of actually, I forgot what actually is. Oh yeah, France. So yeah, big difference. So yeah, it's kind of cool. Mentions that up, and we have Lorna and her boyfriend basically sneak out of the place, and they go up a ladder, and they try to find their way where they're at, and they sneak into a room, and they go down a staircase, and they're caught again. So that whole sequence is pretty just boring, just padding. So finally we see the guy, the main boss, and he's having sex with Flora and the manservant again. So the one kind of effeminate guy is on this older. It's really an interesting scene because this older kind of fat guy, like in his 50s, he's on all fours, and you have the effeminate manservant on glitter riding him naked on his back while he's going down on the Flora woman. So it's very, very, very interesting visual of those three. And they're getting him ready to have him have sex with the new person. And, of course, the new person brought in is his daughter. So he sees her and freaks out and realizes, oh, fuck. Okay, well, this is over. So, which is different because in Cocktail Special, the father and daughter have sex. And in this film, the daughter's brought in, and the father realizes that he needs to stop what he's doing, and that's the end of the line, and that's his sin for having done what he's done, and it's all his fault. So it's interesting. It's more of a redemption on this one, even though he's caught by Alpereria. So anyway, so yeah, I'm jumping ahead. So he figures out what's going on, and he tells his guys, all right, I'm taking my daughter out of here. We're leaving. I'm going with Flora. You wipe out all traces, which means burn the place down. Kill everybody here, get rid of everybody. So that's what I took it as. So basically, it is inept cops because you hear gunshots going off, so they basically go through and kill everybody and wipe the place out. So by the time the father and daughter get in the car and leave, and he tells the daughter all what happened and how it's his fault, and Alpereria was driving the car the whole time. As he knocks out the chauffeur, we see knocked out in the passenger seat. And Al's driving the car, and he tells the father, well, you're going to go to jail now, and I'm taking you to America because you have no connections there, and they'll try you, and the justice system may be just as bad, but you will still pay for your crime. But how can he pay for his crime when the whole operation's wiped out, and all of his places are wipe out all traces. So, and I think on the Franco list, so we have body of water, sailboats, boats. We have palm trees. I forgot to mention that. We have the sound effects, of course, the doves. Number 6, chained up person, tied up person. 7, dance scenes on stage stripping. Yes, we do. Club scenes dancing starts off the film. Number 9, jazz music. Yes. Number 10, excessive zooms. And number 11, out of focus shots. A little bit, not too much. Some of the zooms on the sex scenes, but that's about it. Number 12, mirror shots. Yes, we have a few in the brothel, in that dungeon room, and a few other sequences. Mind control theme. Yeah, the poison gas is the mind control, basically. I forgot to count that one. So yeah, that poison gas is the mind control. Number 14, magic tongue scenes. I mentioned that, most definitely. No Lena, though, but still magic tongues. 15, red lights. Yes. 16, sheepskin rug. No. Or masturbation with a C item. No letter C item, but lots of masturbation, so a lot of writhing and rubbing. So, 17, mad scientist, not really, brothel owner and evil people, but no typical mad scientist, unless they created the poison gas, maybe. 18, fish tank shots, negative. 19, talking parrot or talking animals, negative. 20, in credits, yes or no. Yes, it says Fin, Fin, and that's 78 minutes. 21, handwritten notes, no. 22, spiral staircase, yes. 23, inept cops, yeah, I mentioned that. 24, belly chains, that's negative. 25, kinks, mentioned a few. 26, great headboards, none on this film. Same hotel, so no good headboards. And finally, number 27, fear or desire. It's all about desire in this one, baby. Because he basically, he talks the desire of the father for cash and profits was the thing that brought his ruin. So yeah, and he talks about that at the very end. It's kind of cool. It's like his little coda, and it's like a little note for, yep, this is the rule of the film. It's desire. Because like I said, once again, his desire for cash and profit brought his downfall through the devious and nefarious means that he accrued those means. So yeah, that was his deal. So that was my little wrap up on Gibraltar Departure, and yeah, I liked it. It's going to come out on Blu-ray as part of that 5-disc set, so I say check it out. It is X-rated, but it's not as graphic as the other two films. There's like one, maybe like porn shot from rear when he's having sex with the girl from behind, and you see like his butt and her butt and Brigitte. That's kind of a gross shot, the rear porn shot. But other than that, it's like all pretty tame when it's like a lot of cutaways and they don't really show anything too graphic or anything. So of that aspect of the three, this is the least explicit. So and it's probably the best film out of the three because it's more of a Franco film, even though the first one, Cocktail Special, is a retelling of Eugenie, and I like that one as well. But yeah, no, this one and Cocktail Special, I'd say, are maybe neck and neck, but I liked Cocktail a little bit more because of the bad soundtrack. But as a film-wise, this is definitely a better film, and it's got Al Pereira, and that's pretty cool. So even though Jean Ferreri played him, and he's not very good. He's kind of a stocky, grumpy-looking dude. So, yeah, and it's going to come out on Blu-ray, like I said. So, yeah, check it out. You think you might dig it, especially if you're a Franco completist and a Franco fan. And if you are a Franco fan, you know all about the podcast, and I gave you all the information on the top half. But be quick, donate, download, subscribe, tell a friend, write us at francoobserver@yahoo.com. Find us on Facebook, find us on Instagram. Buenas noches.